Bill Gates, panics as Windows 11 users, threaten to quit Microsoft over privacy. The Windows empire is crumbling, and Microsoft executives are in full panic mode. What's happening right now isn't just another tech controversy. This is a mass exodus, a user rebellion of historic proportions, and it's all centered around one thing: privacy. Or rather, the complete lack of it in Windows 11. Bill Gates, who stepped away from Microsoft's daily operations nearly 2 decades ago, has been dragged back into emergency boardroom meetings. Why? Because the company he built is watching its most valuable asset, user trust, evaporate in real time. And the numbers tell a story that should terrify anyone at Microsoft headquarters. Windows 11 adoption has collapsed to 31%, down from 35% just 3 months ago. Microsoft projected they'd hit 50% by now. They missed by 19 percentage points. But that's not the scary part. The scary part is what users are doing instead of upgrading. They're leaving entirely. 400 million people are still running Windows 10 even though official support ended on October 14, 2024. 400 million users who would rather risk security vulnerabilities, malware infections, and zero-day exploits than upgrade to Windows 11. Think about that. They hate Windows 11 so much they're willing to run unpatched, unsupported software. And the migration numbers are absolutely brutal. Linux desktop usage exploded from 3.2% to 4.8% in just 6 months. That's a 50% increase. Mac sales in the enterprise sector jumped 47% year over year. Chromebook shipments to businesses surged 89%. This isn't complaining. This isn't online griping. This is millions of people and thousands of businesses actively abandoning the Windows ecosystem, and they're doing it because Microsoft violated the one thing users can't forgive: their privacy. The surveillance operating system. Windows 11 isn't an operating system. It's a surveillance platform disguised as productivity software. Every single design decision Microsoft made prioritized data collection over user experience, tracking over performance, and corporate control over individual privacy. Let's start with the Microsoft account requirement, because this is where the privacy nightmare begins. Windows 11. Home Edition refuses to install without a Microsoft account. You can't skip it. You can't create a local account during setup. You must provide Microsoft with your email address, create a password in their system, and connect to the internet during installation. No offline option exists. No local account option exists. Microsoft removed them deliberately. This isn't about security. It's about control. Microsoft wants to track everything you do, sync all your data to their servers, and tie your entire computing experience to an account they control. And once you're locked into that Microsoft account, the privacy violations multiply exponentially. Take Michael Rodriguez, a journalist in Miami who covers government corruption. He bought a new laptop in August 2024, a Dell Inspiron for $1,100. He started the Windows 11 setup expecting to create a local account like he'd done for 15 years. The option wasn't there. Windows 11 demanded a Microsoft account. He refused. He spent 4 hours researching workarounds, found a command prompt method that bypassed the requirement, and got his local account working. 2 months later, Microsoft pushed an update that detected his workaround and forced him to add a Microsoft account or lose access to his own computer. He lost access to his files for 6 hours while he figured out another workaround. This is a journalist who handles confidential source communications, leaked documents, and sensitive investigations. Microsoft's forced account requirement put his sources at risk because his login credentials, his data syncing, and his activity monitoring all flow through Microsoft's servers. He can't trust that. No journalist can. He wiped Windows 11 completely, installed Ubuntu Linux, and now he's running Tails OS for his most sensitive work. Microsoft lost a customer and created another privacy advocate who tells everyone in his industry to avoid Windows 11. That's happening across every profession that values privacy: lawyers, doctors, therapists, activists, researchers, anyone who handles confidential information. OneDrive, the forced cloud surveillance. But the Microsoft account is just the entry point. Once you're in, the privacy invasion accelerates with OneDrive. Windows 11 defaults to syncing your desktop, documents, and pictures, folders to OneDrive automatically. Microsoft doesn't ask, they just do it. Your files start uploading to their cloud servers, and you don't get a choice unless you know where to disable it in the settings. This is insidious because most users don't understand what's happening. They save a document to their desktop, thinking it's stored locally on their computer. It's not. It's uploading to Microsoft servers. They save a photo. It's uploading. They save a spreadsheet with financial data. It's uploading. Everything goes to the cloud whether they want it there or not. Lisa Chang is a therapist in San Francisco with 40 patients. She keeps session notes on her computer, encrypted and stored locally because she's legally required to maintain patient confidentiality. She upgraded to Windows 11 in September 2024 because Windows 10 was approaching end of life. Within 2 days, she noticed her documents folder had cloud icons on every file. She investigated and discovered Windows 11 had uploaded 3 weeks of therapy notes to OneDrive without her permission. Patient names, diagnoses, treatment plans, session transcripts, all sitting on Microsoft servers. That's a HIPAA violation. She could lose her license. She could face lawsuits. She could go to jail, all because Microsoft decided to upload her files without asking. She immediately disabled OneDrive, verified the files were deleted from the cloud, and then spent $3,500 consulting with a data privacy lawyer to ensure she was legally protected. Then she switched to a Mac, which doesn't force cloud syncing on anyone. Microsoft's position is that OneDrive syncing is a feature, a convenience for users who want access to their files across devices. But they made it default. They made it automatic. They designed the system to prioritize uploading user data over respecting user privacy. And when people disable it, Microsoft nags them constantly to turn it back on with pop-ups, notifications, and warnings that their files aren't backed up. This isn't about helping users. This is about collecting user data at scale, building profiles on hundreds of millions of people, and monetizing that information through targeted services and subscriptions. OneDrive isn't a backup service. It's a data collection pipeline. Recall, the AI that watches everything. Then Microsoft introduced Recall, and the privacy community lost its mind completely. Recall is an AI feature that takes screenshots of everything you do on your computer every few seconds. It captures your banking website, your email, your private messages, your medical records, your work documents, everything. Then it analyzes those screenshots with AI and stores them locally so you can search your activity history in natural language. Microsoft pitched this as a productivity feature. Imagine you can't remember a website you visited last week. Just ask Recall, and it searches your screenshot history to find it. Sounds convenient, right? Until security researchers analyzed how Recall actually works and discovered it's the most catastrophic privacy disaster in modern operating systems. The screenshots Recall captures aren't properly encrypted. They're stored in a database that any malware with local access can read. Kevin Beaumont, a prominent security researcher, called it a privacy nightmare dressed up as a feature. He analyzed the storage mechanism and found that passwords, credit card numbers, private messages, banking details, everything appears in plain text in the screenshot database. If malware infects your computer, it doesn't need to keylog or scrape data anymore. It just reads your Recall database and gets everything you've done for months. InfoSec Taylor Swift, another respected security researcher, said Recall turns your computer into a perfect espionage device for domestic abusers, stalkers, and hackers. Because anyone with physical access to your computer can see everything you've done. Your spouse can see your private conversations. Your employer can see your job search. Your government can see your activism. Recall creates a permanent, searchable record of your entire digital life, and it's stored locally with inadequate protection. The backlash was so severe, Microsoft delayed Recall's rollout and eventually released it as opt-in only with encryption improvements. But the damage was done. Users saw Microsoft's true priorities. They built a feature that constantly watches everything users do, captures it, and stores it, all in the name of AI convenience. Even with encryption, how do you trust it? How do you know recall is actually off when you disable it? How do you know Microsoft isn't uploading those screenshots anyway? Daniel Foster is a political activist in Washington, D.C., organizing protests against government surveillance. He upgraded to Windows 11 in April 2024. When he learned about recall, he understood immediately what it meant. If police seize his computer, they get a complete searchable record of every website he visited, every person he contacted, every document he read, attorney-client communications, strategy discussions, source identities, all captured by recall. Even if recall is disabled, he can't trust it's really off. Microsoft has repeatedly removed user control options and forced features back on through updates. He can't risk it. He switched his entire organization to Linux, training 30 activists on Ubuntu. Cost, $0. Security, complete. Privacy, restored. Microsoft lost 30 customers because they built spyware into the operating system. Telemetry, the constant data stream. Beyond the obvious privacy invasions, Windows 11 constantly collects telemetry data. Microsoft calls it diagnostic data, required to improve Windows. What it actually is, a constant stream of information about everything you do sent back to Microsoft's servers. What apps you use, how long you use them, what features you click, what errors you encounter, what hardware you have, all collected, uploaded, and stored by Microsoft. You can set telemetry to required only in the settings, but you can't turn it off completely. Microsoft doesn't allow it. Windows 11 will always send data back to Microsoft. Always. There's no option for zero telemetry. You must accept that Microsoft is watching your activity if you use Windows 11. Network security analysts have monitored Windows 11 network traffic and found it contacts Microsoft servers hundreds of times per day, even with all optional features disabled, even with OneDrive off, even with Copilot disabled. Windows 11 still phones home constantly. It's checking for updates, sure, but it's also uploading usage statistics, error reports, and system information. Robert Jensen is a network administrator at a law firm in Chicago. His firm handles corporate litigation worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Client confidentiality is everything. He upgraded the firm's 85 computers to Windows 11 in June 2024 because Windows 10 support was ending. Within a week, he noticed unusual network traffic patterns. He set up packet analysis and discovered every workstation was contacting Microsoft servers 200 to 300 times daily. He couldn't determine exactly what data was being transmitted because it's encrypted, but he knew data was flowing to Microsoft constantly. That's unacceptable in a law firm. He can't have client data potentially leaking to external servers. He can't have case strategy information possibly being collected. He can't have anything leaving his network without explicit approval. He presented the findings to the partners. They immediately authorized a complete migration to Mac. 85 new MacBook Pros, $210,000. Migration completed in 3 weeks. Microsoft lost a massive enterprise customer because Windows 11's telemetry data collection couldn't be fully disabled. The firm couldn't trust it, and trust is everything in legal work, the TPM tracking nightmare. But the deepest level of privacy invasion in Windows 11 comes from the TPM 2.0 requirement. Microsoft says TPM is about security, about protecting your data with hardware encryption. That's the public story. The real story is far more sinister. TPM 2.0 chips contain a unique endorsement key that permanently identifies your specific device. This key is tied to your Microsoft account during Windows 11 setup. It can't be changed. It can't be deleted. It's a permanent tracking identifier Microsoft controls, and third parties can access it through APIs with no restrictions. Rob Braxman, a veteran programmer and privacy researcher, demonstrated this live in multiple videos. He showed how the TPM endorsement key is extracted by Windows 11 and transmitted to Microsoft servers during the initial setup and during regular updates. He showed how third-party applications can query the TPM key through Windows APIs. He showed how this creates a permanent device fingerprint that follows you across the internet. This isn't theoretical. This is happening right now on every Windows 11 computer. Your device has a unique identifier tied to your Microsoft account, and Microsoft knows exactly what hardware you're using at all times. If you sell your computer, the TPM key doesn't transfer. If you reinstall Windows, the key persists. If you try to use privacy tools, the key still identifies your device. The privacy implications are staggering. Microsoft can track every Windows 11 device permanently across hardware changes, OS reinstalls, and user accounts. They can correlate device usage across different services. They can build permanent profiles of device activity. And they've given third-party developers access to this information through APIs. Amanda Price is a privacy researcher at a university in Boston. She studies digital surveillance and corporate data collection. She bought a new Windows 11 laptop in October 2024 specifically to research the TPM privacy implications. Within 3 days, she documented how the TPM endorsement key was being accessed by Microsoft services, by third-party apps she installed, and by websites she visited. The key was transmitting every time she connected to the internet. She published her findings in a technical paper that went viral in privacy communities. Her conclusion: Windows 11's TPM requirement isn't about security at all. It's about creating an unbreakable tracking infrastructure where every device is permanently identifiable. She compared it to a digital ankle monitor that users are forced to wear if they want to use Windows. She's now running Cube's OS exclusively and telling every privacy advocate she knows to avoid Windows 11 completely. Microsoft responded to her research not by fixing the privacy issues, but by calling TPM key access necessary for device security. They didn't deny anything she documented. They just said it's necessary. The subscription trap privacy invasion in Windows 11 isn't just about surveillance. It's about monetization. Microsoft wants to turn Windows from a product into a subscription platform, and they're using privacy violations to force users into that model. The Microsoft account requirement feeds into Microsoft 365 subscriptions. OneDrive defaults to a 5 GB free tier, then constantly nags you to upgrade to 100 GB for $1.99 monthly or 1 TB for $6.99 monthly bundled with Microsoft 365. Copilot integration pushes you toward Copilot Pro at $20 monthly. Edge browser defaults to Bing, which collects search data to serve personalized ads. Everything in Windows 11 is designed to funnel users toward recurring subscription revenue. This is why privacy matters. Microsoft isn't just collecting your data for security or to improve Windows. They're collecting it to profile you, to understand your behavior, to predict what subscriptions you'll buy, and to manipulate you into spending more money. Your data is the product, and Microsoft is selling it to themselves to maximize subscription revenue. Catherine Brooks runs a photography studio in Seattle with 3 employees. She bought new Windows 11 computers for her studio in March 2024, spending $6,500 on hardware. Within a week, every computer was flooded with Microsoft 365 prompts, OneDrive storage upgrade offers, and Copilot Pro advertisements. She paid thousands for these computers, and Microsoft was using them as advertising platforms to sell her subscriptions. She tried to disable the prompts and discovered she couldn't. Microsoft built the subscription advertising into the OS with no way to turn it off completely. She could dismiss individual notifications, but they'd return. She could disable some features, but others would re-enable after updates. Microsoft designed Windows 11 to constantly push subscriptions regardless of user preferences. She returned all 3 computers, bought Macs, and switched to Adobe Creative Cloud. Microsoft lost a $6,500 hardware sale and created another vocal critic telling photographers to avoid Windows 11. And she's not alone. Across every industry, professionals are discovering that Windows 11 prioritizes Microsoft's revenue over user experience. The breaking point. What's happening now isn't just privacy-conscious users leaving Windows. It's mainstream users, regular people who don't follow tech news, who don't understand terms like TPM or telemetry. They just know Windows 11 feels wrong. It feels invasive. It feels like Microsoft is watching them, and they're right. Emma Thompson is a retired teacher in Florida. She's 67 years old, uses her computer for email, Facebook, and online shopping. She doesn't follow tech news. She doesn't understand privacy policies. She just wants her computer to work. She upgraded to Windows 11 in July 2024 because Microsoft wouldn't stop nagging her. Within days, she noticed things felt different. Pop-ups asking her to try OneDrive, notifications about Copilot, her files showing cloud icons she didn't understand. She called her son, who works in IT. He remote accessed her computer and found OneDrive had uploaded 2 GB of her personal photos without permission. He disabled it, disabled telemetry, disabled every privacy-invading feature he could find. She asked him why Microsoft was doing this. He explained the data collection, the tracking, the surveillance built into Windows 11. She was horrified. She said it felt like someone was watching her through her computer. She wanted it gone. Her son bought her a Chromebook the next week. She's happy now. No tracking, no surveillance, just a computer that works. Microsoft lost a customer who'd used Windows since 1998. She'll never come back, and she's telling all her retired friends to avoid Windows 11. That's the breaking point. When non-technical users start feeling surveilled, when regular people understand their privacy is being violated, the exodus becomes unstoppable. Microsoft's response: denial and doubling down. Microsoft's response to the privacy crisis has been catastrophic. Instead of listening to users, instead of rolling back invasive features, instead of making privacy the priority, they've doubled down. They've removed more control options. They've made telemetry more mandatory. They've pushed harder on forced Microsoft accounts. Satya Nadella, Microsoft's CEO, has given multiple interviews where he talks about AI integration and cloud services. He doesn't mention privacy concerns. He doesn't address the user exodus. He frames everything as innovation and progress. Meanwhile, Windows 11 adoption continues falling, and users continue fleeing to alternatives. Bill Gates, brought back into emergency strategy meetings, reportedly pushed for rolling back some privacy-invasive features. He understood the user backlash was existential, but he no longer controls Microsoft. The current leadership is committed to the subscription model, the cloud integration, the AI proliferation. They believe they can force users to accept it through attrition and lack of alternatives. They're wrong. The alternatives exist. Linux is viable. Macs are affordable. Chromebooks work. Users have options, and they're exercising them in record numbers. Microsoft's strategy of ignoring privacy concerns and doubling down on surveillance is accelerating the exodus, not stopping it. The future: Windows below 60%. Here's what nobody at Microsoft wants to admit. Windows might drop below 60% desktop market share within 3 years. That sounds impossible. Windows has dominated for 30 years. But look at the numbers. Look at the trends. Look at the user sentiment. Linux adoption is accelerating. Every month, more distributions become user-friendly. Every month, more applications become cross-platform. Every month, more users discover they don't need Windows. Steam Deck's success proved Linux gaming is viable. Chrome OS proved web apps work for most users. Mac OS proved premium hardware can command premium prices. Microsoft's moat is eroding. The network effects that kept users on Windows, compatibility, software availability, enterprise support, they're weakening. The cloud made operating systems less important. Web apps run everywhere. Mobile apps replace desktop apps for many tasks. The lock-in that protected Windows for decades is breaking, and the privacy violations are the catalyst. Every user who switches to protect their privacy tells others. Every business that migrates to avoid surveillance creates case studies. Every tech professional who abandons Windows influences their company's decisions. The exodus is exponential, not linear. By 2030, Windows could be just another operating system option, not the default choice. Linux and Mac combined could exceed Windows market share. That was unthinkable 5 years ago. It's becoming inevitable now. And Microsoft's refusal to respect user privacy is making it happen faster. What this means: Windows 11's privacy violations aren't just a tech controversy. They represent a fundamental shift in how users view their relationship with software. For decades, users accepted that software companies collected some data. It was understood, expected, tolerated. Windows 11 crossed the line. The surveillance is too pervasive, too invasive, too constant. Users are fighting back, and they're winning. Microsoft lost control of the narrative. They lost user trust. They might lose Windows dominance. All because they prioritize data collection over user experience, corporate profits over individual privacy, and subscription revenue over customer loyalty. Bill Gates sees it. He understands Microsoft is facing an existential crisis, but he can't stop it because he doesn't run the company anymore. The current leadership believes they can force users into accepting Windows 11's privacy violations through lack of alternatives and update requirements. They're about to learn they're wrong. Users would rather risk running unsupported software than accept surveillance. They'd rather learn new operating systems than submit to tracking. They'd rather spend money on new hardware from different companies than give Microsoft control of their data. Windows 11 isn't just failing, it's driving users away permanently, and the privacy violations are the reason why. Microsoft built an operating system that serves Microsoft's interests, not user interests. Users noticed, and they're leaving. 400 million people running Windows 10 unsupported, millions more switching to Linux, Mac, Chrome OS. This is the death spiral Microsoft executives feared. This is why Bill Gates got pulled into emergency meetings. This is why panic is setting in at Microsoft headquarters. Windows 11 was supposed to secure Microsoft's future. Instead, it might have killed it. And privacy violations are the murder weapon nobody at Microsoft wants to admit they used.